Welcome to Subramani. One of the very important things that one needs to do is to estimate how much money you will require post retirement, and the most important thing for you to estimate is the cash flow that you require. So first of all, you need to understand that for younger people, maybe in their 40s or even in their 50s, they tend to think of retirees as one block. That's not true, because retirees are 3-4 different blocks. So let us, for convenience sake, break it up into 3 blocks. It is 60 to 70, 70 to 80, and 80 to 90 or 85 onwards, right? So 60 to 70, your cash flow requirements could be very different. You might be traveling around the country or around the world, depending on your budget and depending on where your friends are and where your friends want to travel. You may be incurring some other expenses. You may be attending functions of relatives, etc. Whereas in your 70s, you may cut down on international travel. You may travel only in the domestic circuit, so expenses could come down. And beyond your age of 80, you may not travel voluntarily at all. You may travel only in case of some death of a sibling or death of a spouse of a sibling or something, like what I would call a compulsory travel, and even that you may avoid beyond the age of 83, 84 and say it's not worth the effort. So your requirements could be very different. But here let us make an attempt as to how you would go about estimating what are all the factors. I'm not doing it's not holding your hand and doing step by step, but I'm saying what are the factors that you should consider, and how much is the requirement, because a lot of calculators will tell you will require 80% of your pre-retirement expenses. So if your expenses were say 5 lakhs a year at the age of 60, they think that you will need about 4 lakhs a year at the age of 61. I mean, assuming 60 is the retirement age. They expect the fall to be at least 20%. Either factor it in or just ignore it, doesn't matter. So if your expenses at the age of 59 was about 5 lakhs a year, assume that in 60 also the inflation being low, you will be spending about 5 lakhs. So that is your target. Your target is to say, how do I generate 5 lakhs of cash flow from my assets, preferably not touching my principal till the age of say 75. Because then I have the longevity risk of maybe I live too long. So till the age of 75, I do not touch the principal that I have. So I have to live off the income of my portfolio, and or any other way how I supplement that by being partially employed. Right. So so what are the questions that you will ask yourself as to where you start? So first of all, start with a realistic baseline, saying this is how much I will spend, and add an X amount to it, because I've had this discussion with my dad, who used to write down all his expenses. He would say every year there is an unexpected expense of 30,000 rupees, and I'm talking of figures in the maybe late 90s or very early 2000, right, or maybe 2000 right up to 2010-12. So every year some unexpected expense will come, but at least start with the right baseline and say, okay, this is the minimum which I will be spending, plus I may have an emergency cash available in case some unbudgeted expenses come up. So that baseline has to be, the baseline will be more realistic for a 60-year-old to make than for a 50-year-old to make, than for a 40-year-old to make, because you don't anticipate all those changes which happen in your life, right? So then once you see how much is the cash flow that you are getting, maybe you're in your 40s or 50s, out of that subtract the amount that you are saving or investing, your EMI, remove all that and see how much is the money left, because largely that is the amount of money that you need to run your house on a day-to-day basis without adjusting for inflation. So you have said this is the income that I will earn, this is my saving, or this is the cash flow that I am getting minus this amount which I am saving. minus the taxation, because as you retire and you make sure that your money is in a better balance between you and your spouse, and if you have an HUF, try to minimize the taxation. As of today, if both of you have adequate capital, you can go to a zero tax bracket, or arranging things in such a way that you can go to the zero tax bracket without much of a hassle, right? So then reduce the any tax deductions, or the tax payment has to be reduced, and after that add back, or say if there are going to be any changes in your housing costs. Now if you have bought a house long ago and decided that during your retirement you will live here, then there is nothing to be changed. But however, if you had decided that you will sell off in expensive city like Mumbai and go to a more sensible city like say Pune, or maybe even a Baramati or any smaller place, Coimbatore, or 50 kilometers away from Coimbatore, any of those places, there's a decent chance that your annual expenses will come down, provided you really get rid of everything here. If you leave a house here, you will still have to pay society maintenance charges. Whereas if you sell off the house, and if that money is available to you in the bank, and the only place where you're going to stay is this, then there is some chance that your housing costs will go down. Then factor in the lifestyle changes, because you and your spouse may start traveling a bit, maybe traveling a lot, and therefore there will be lifestyle changes, and those lifestyle changes have to be incorporated in your expenses. It will look like, I somehow find that from the age of 60 till the age of 65, your annual expenses actually go up, not down, because a lot of those expenses which were being incurred by the company will no longer be incurred. For example, if you'd never yearn to go out and eat pre-retirement, because your travel anyway took you out of the city for say 8-10 days in a month, which time you were forced to eat out. So I'm sure that those kind of expenses will come in, because there's nobody else willing to incur it. So after maybe 2-3 months, you will start yearning for that eating out thing. So those kind of cash flows, which are currently called change in lifestyle, those have to be incorporated. You might incur additional healthcare costs, which is again a point of debate. You may incur other expenses like traveling to meet friends, going for long drives, etc. So those have to be factored in, and of course there could be higher health costs, so that also has to be factored in. And then after doing all this, you realize you require an X amount, and then the fudge factor is to say, okay, I have that and more. So so my cash flow is now taken care of like this. Thank you.